And a good morning to you. Long time no see.
Man.
About, 13 hours since we saw you last. But we're glad you're here. Snowmageddon is on the way, just in case anybody's keeping score.
Temperature's starting to rise a little bit on the forecast.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I put a lot of stock in Chris Suchan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Chris is a friend of mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
and,
he's good.
He keeps us updated out of Texas. He's chief meteorologist out there at the station. And he was saying the I-40 corridor looks like 8 to 10 before the sleet comes in.
Right.
And the mountains could get up to 20 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to go up this weekend?
Yeah.
We're going to hang around.
Yeah, I think I'd hang around
because I won't be
here.
back till like next. Well, wait a minute. Maybe I should go.
Well, you're not. If you want to see snow, you're not going to have to go there.
Yeah, right.
Because you're going to get it right here.
Get snowed in. I'll be back in a month. Oh,
it's going to be a little iffy rough up there for the weekend and here. And we're on Thursday, so we're probably starting to get that thing dialed in a little bit.
Yeah.
But with anything in the South, it kind of shifts around. You never know what it's going to do, but there's enough air, cold air in place and enough moisture. And here's the funny thing. This storm's just now coming ashore on the West Coast. But it's on a jet stream hotline.
It's coming, baby.
Yeah,
it's coming.
That's the way
it's interesting how warm it was. And I know weather patterns change. I mean, I get all that. People talk about why and all that if they want to, but even when I was a kid, I was always fascinated because I didn't ever want to go to school, so I was always looking for the snow.
Oh, yeah.
But it's amazing, like, how they talk about ridges and troughs and all that. But, I just remember waiting for that L to show up down in, like, Alabama and Georgia because there was a good chance
when the
if it
snow
did.
comes out of Atlanta,
right.
you're getting it.
I just knew there's a good chance that I'd be snowed in on Flat Gap Mountain, and we weren't getting out of there for a week, but anyway, good stuff. Good stuff.
I think I mentioned this. And I didn't really see it until it was on one of my flights up to Minnesota when I was traveling. When you're in the air and you see these fronts and like a line of clouds when you're looking out the window and that's the leading front as it's pushing, that is an amazing sight to see it from that, to see it from that perspective.
Lanny, it is something that, and I just elaborate on this. I fly quite a bit to St. Louis and back, pre-pandemic, and actually started back up. So I'll be there starting again a few times here this spring, summer, and fall, but for business. But I have actually seen the front going to and coming from. And what was interesting was back in, I want to say it was 8 or 9, maybe 2007. We were leaving St. Louis, and the winter storm had just hit about 4 hours earlier. So it was already, coming through, and it was a big storm, and it was moving east. And I remember they actually let us take off, and we got up, and once we got through the clouds, you could turn around, you saw the sun, and you turn around and look at that storm. Oh, man.
Oh, I know.
To your point,
yeah.
Incredible.
I flew
Incredible.
out of
beautiful.
I was on vacation in Myrtle Beach one time and had to come back quickly for business. And we only had one car, so I had to catch a flight out of Myrtle Beach.
Did you?
Come back to Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
And it was on a big boy. This was one of the big planes coming back.
Pretty quick, wasn't it?
And there was a huge storm coming in from the ocean. And when we took off, it was like
just everywhere around you.
Oh yeah, and we took off
God.
and got above that
so
thing.
Scary.
And to look back and watch lightning in the clouds when it's that high, it's an amazing sight. I mean, I don't want to fly through it or in it.
No.
But,
I know what you mean.
But some of the things that you can see from a plane, from a weather standpoint, and those fronts like you're talking about, when you cross one, it looks like a curtain or a bedspread that somebody's pulling over, the country. And then it's amazing how that works. And then when I was at Gaston, when I called up after I came back from Clemson, I called up at Gaston before I went to Boone. I had to take a science. And I took geology. It's the only thing I had not had, okay? And I'll never forget it. My professor was Dr. Whippo, George Whippo. Always wore a lanyard, not a tie, but a lanyard. Short, stumpy man, very smart. I learned so much because in geology you learn about weather and why it rains, why we get snow out of Atlanta and not across the mountains, because the mountains squeezed out. And he was explaining how when the clouds get there and they have to rise up, it squeezes the moisture.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
I learned things I had never learned before.
You know what that's called? I'm such a nerd. Orographic welding.
Listen, I was like,
I took it in college.
I didn't know how this worked.
I remember.
But it was
God.
neat to
It's
learn
awful.
about
It's
stuff
awful.
like that, you know?
Sorry I know that. I'm sorry.
Milton is exactly right. A 20-mile shift can be a difference between sleet and a foot of snow.
No, he's right. If that thing moves any east at all, it's Snowmageddon.
And the I-40 corridor, the I-40 corridor and the I-85 corridor are usually, which we're between those two, but that's usually kind of the divider line.
And Highway 10 is a lot of times as well. So anyway, that's cool.
Richie said 4 with big words.
Dude, I don't even know why that. Well, oh God,
he just spouted that out.
Sorry
God
about that.
and everybody.
Okay.
Just
sorry.
But I would say it looks like people have already started to get prepared because there's no paper products at the grocery store.
Anyway, man.
There's no dog food. My dogs needed food, and I had to get a 4-pound bag because it was the only thing that they had.
They sell it at the vet. All kidding aside, if anybody runs out of pet food, check with your local vet, and then Chewy.com is the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean,
I'm going to go to that. I just hate to do that because I'm big on local, but I can't get it.
Well, they got to be able to yes, but locals got to do their part too, and they got to provide. Now, look, people can say it's not their fault and this, that. Listen, it matters, okay? It matters. Got to be informed. It matters. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
I ain't going to say anything. I'm going to let it go. I don't want to get fired up this early in the morning.
Shoot, I still feel good from last night, man.
I'll tell you because I read a story. Oh, we were talking about the lady that we'll get to sports eventually. The lady that was accused of the $15 million embezzlement.
Oh, yeah.
She pled guilty yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other story that I saw, my good friend Osama, Court Street, had to close the HIC because he can't get help.
The quality help. He's got a little. He's got a.
He don't have enough.
Right. He says he has enough to stay open, but they're sacrificing quality, and they don't want to do that. They would rather just revamp, retrain, get some new people in. I got to tell you, things cycle, and they cycle very quickly. And anyone that maybe is not working or, wants to try to get in and have a good standing and secure that, I would heavily encourage them to go ahead and take something and start working it. And again, I'm not going to get in because that's not what I want to do on the show. One final thought. I had lunch yesterday with my rep from Mood Media. Mm-hmm. We have Mood, used to be Muzak, in our stores. We have video advertising in our stores that comes through Mood, and we put all that stuff up there. But we were talking about this, and there was and I'm going to go back and look it up, there was a segment on 60 Minutes this past Sunday about the labor shortage, and it was out of Greenville, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about the age group of people that have said, I'm really not happy with my job working in a restaurant or working whatever, and they're living off their savings. That is correct. And child care tax credits.
That's going to end.
Other stimulus.
That's going to get to the point to where that don't work anymore.
And that's kind of why I'm saying it's probably a good idea, even if you have a side thing that, or not a side, but you want to start your own business, that's great. But supplementation, a lot of times, can be a great thing to that startup business.
Let me tell
from
you
somewhere else.
The key thing in startup business: diversity.
I agree.
Diversity. Don't put all the eggs in one basket.
Right.
Diversity.
And just again, I'm not going to get into the thing, but just one thing: MSIs, multiple sources of income.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And in my case, I got to have them all. You don't know my family. Okay, anyway, back to sports.
Dude, you're sick.
The Cleveland Bears interviewed former Philadelphia Eagles head coach Doug Peterson and the Cleveland Browns executive Glenn Cook for their vacant coach and general manager jobs.
Okay, yeah.
Doug Peterson, I think, is a head coach come fall.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
he does a great job.
The place that a lot of people feel like he needs to go, now whether he'll get a call for an interview, is Jacksonville. Because he has structure.
Yeah.
Some of the things that he could bring that
Lawrence would do well under him.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll see.
I would love to see him in Carolina.
Doug Peterson?
Yeah, I really like him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey, everybody has their thing. It's just
he led Philadelphia to its lone Super Bowl championship in the 2017 season. He was 42-37-1, 2 division championships, 3 playoff appearances before going 4-11 in 2020 and getting fired. I want to say they lost some talent that year
a
over
lot of
money
injuries, and they had a lot of injuries. Yeah. And, the interesting thing is there's no patience for process.
And,
none.
I heard
and that's insane because that's
Cal
what
heard
leads to
and
success.
somebody was talking yesterday, fans, ownership are going to have to start applying more patience or you're never going to get out of the hole because the hole continues to get deeper if you continually start over.
Yeah, that's why I think that, the thing with Joe Judge, they talked about that. And to your point, I'm getting to your point. They talked about him, one of the reasons he got fired because he ran that quarterback sneak on 3rd down, and then punted the ball.
Then that's sad.
Well, the thing about it is when you start getting heat about things, you start pressing, and instead of sticking to the process, if you know that you're held accountable, not necessarily for the wins and losses early on, but for the process, the measurables, then the likelihood of positive outcomes is very high. That's like Saban talks about the first year he was at Alabama, they lost to University of Louisiana Monroe. And he stopped at a gas station, had his national championship rings on from LSU. Walks up to the guy, and the guy says, "Hey, can I see that ring?" Saban's like, "Sure." He's like, "Wow, that's really cool." Said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, whatever, just small talk, no big deal." He's paying for his gas and walked back inside. He said, "Well," he said, "all I know is if we have that Saban guy, we're never going to get one of those." Guy didn't know who he was, and he tells that story, a little differently, but that's the gist of it. But the point is, people that stick to a process and are highly individually motivated and accountable to themselves and hold themselves at a high standard and, have that list of things that we talk about as far as, the intangibles, not daring to rebuild your team at any time, whatever you need to do, to make it right. Coaching staff, hold everybody to high expectations, including yourself, and enforce, that kind of thing. You do all those things, the likelihood of success is very high. And nobody can wait, to your point. They got to be patient.
And that's the part that concerns me about the Panthers.
I don't see that, Carolina.
I don't see
it at all. I don't see it at all.
I don't see any kind of direction or plan. Yeah,
it's just
we're going to try this and see what this does.
Yeah, we're going to bring this guy in, which, people, Cam, I'm sure nobody really dislikes him. They
brought Cam in to try to sell some tickets and save
and some people are just ready to move on.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like, his personality, he seems like he is a good fella. I mean, he really does. Mm-hmm. Very likable, good teammate. You never hear anybody say they don't like him as a teammate. He's just different, after the game,
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too, but there just seems to be no process, and that's one of the things that maybe irritates me, and that's why it's hard for me to get in with them.
I'm the same way. I have to have structure, and I have to have scheduling.
Right.
Drives, once again, my crowd, there is no scheduling.
Right. The problem is the people that pay for the tickets, and I say the people, and for the most part, are be first instead of be right.
Well,
that's the mentality we're in.
The Carolina Panthers
world.
have not been around long enough to have true devoted fans.
Yeah.
That's the other problem.
Yeah.
One more weather note before I take a break. Link said, Kessler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, try flying into a hurricane. He said, only took one flight, scared me near to death. And those guys do it daily.
Daily. You're right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I'm glad he brought that up.
Well, here's the deal. I'm not signing up for that job. I promise I'm not signing up.
Yeah.
Joe, good morning. Milton says instant gratification, but you can see the coach is in over his head. And that's because he doesn't have a plan. He can't. I don't think he knows what to do to fix it, and you can't be in that position and know that when you're in charge. Let me take a break. Back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. We're talking about the NFL coaches and the coaching carousel that's out there. We haven't heard a lot so far, and I don't know why, unless there's a lot of people that's on the wish list that are still involved in the playoffs. You know, they were allowed to talk to assistants, I think, up until they got to the playoffs, and then they shut that off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's probably, I guess that's where things are going to get filled from, but.
The NFL as a whole, think of it this way, and maybe college football as well, all right, because it's so much like that. It would, and I don't really know the reasons why you shouldn't do this. I can sit around and think of it. This is kind of off the cuff. But why would you allow certain teams, certain programs to be able to hire while the season's going on, but yet teams that have been rewarded for doing well and the coaches that obviously
that is
have done a
today's
good job.
society.
Right, but what I'm saying is if you have an organization, why do you say, okay, why would you not have a rule from the beginning of the season until the very last game, which is the Super Bowl National Championship, you cannot fill a vacancy. You just got to promote somebody from within.
But
wait till, you know what I'm saying? Like if you have something immediate like Urban Meyer, for example, promote from within.
But that's
and then,
interim.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Until that season's over, then you do it. Because it puts it on a level playing field as far as quality of the league goes. Now, what are the reasons you shouldn't do that? Because it's not fair? I don't think that's a good reason.
Well, in college, we have different schedules, for lack of a better word.
We've created a monster that
with
based
the
on
recruiting stuff.
Absolutely.
All of that stuff has to coincide so that you have the same cutoffs.
Based
because
on TV contracts.
If you don't,
I know.
people do what's best for them, and I have no problem with that.
I completely understand. The problem is if you're putting a quality product and you want a level playing field, which is what we all talk about. We always hear about I want 8 teams, I want 12 teams, I want 16, but yet you don't want to make the playing field entirely the same across. I mean, it's like, whether it be locally in other schools in North Carolina, some kids can transfer by claiming this, that, or the other and immediately become eligible. But some kids can move in a district and still have to sit out 365 days. I mean, what are we?
But here's
what
the deal.
What are we talking about?
This is the same thing like with college. That's why we can't come to an understanding on playoffs and schedules.
That's right.
Because each individual, to reference it, the president of this university and this LEA want their own rules. We don't care what you do over yonder, but this is what we're going to do.
Right.
But yet you want to compete with these other people that don't share your same rules.
Look at the chaos that causes.
Yeah.
Anytime you don't have consistency, structure, focus, and discipline, chaos ensues. And that's only natural. It should, because there's no set standard. There's no accountability. It's like the Wild West.
Well,
that's just a thought.
But the problem is nobody wants to give up their power for the good of all.
But they're not really giving anything up.
They still get an opinion, but they don't
pay them.
But they don't want somebody. But they don't want to give up that control.
Listen, you don't find like a Bronco Mendenhall, type guy, that starts at a smaller, and then takes them to where they are, and then of course goes to another school. But the point is those are very few and far between. Pay. If you want the quality, you got to pay for it.
What happens inside most companies? Okay, this is my view. This is the life according to Lanny. Most companies, when you get people in that are very fired up about the job, very aggressive about what they do, they start empire building inside their company structure. They start gobbling up what they can in responsibility and control.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
But that comes from my standpoint, that's lack of management. Management needs to keep this stuff. But on the college side and the high school side, I've said that too with the high school side. That's why I've never understood, much like the state superintendent's job, they really have no power and control. The North Carolina High School Athletic Association really has no power
Not
and
anymore.
control.
Not anymore.
Because it's all goes back to the LEAs, and there's over 100 of them.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, how do you deal with that now? And I understand that local control is better, but when you have local control, all you're controlling that's okay if you never leave your area. For example, if Charlotte-Mecklenburg said, okay, we're not playing any games outside Mecklenburg County, okay, we're all going to be, all our leagues will consist in here, they can get by with that, okay? But McDowell, Madison, Avery, they can't have their own league because they ain't got one team inside the county.
They have to coexist in a conference. And I've coached in that 1A, 2A, or 2A Western Highlands. I've coached in that league, and you know, in two different schools up there, and you know, at Avery and at Madison, and you know, I'm telling you, the relationship that those schools have, all right, with each other, especially the five, and that's Madison, Mitchell, Mountain Heritage, all right, Avery, and Owen. So I know Owen, smallest school in Buncombe County, by far. Okay, the relationship those five had from the old days, back when I was in high school. Yeah, you know, Tom. You know, when right after Big Tom Burleson graduated. You know that. I mean, it's been together that long. Okay, the way that they work together is remarkable. I remember being an AD at Madison and at Avery, and how easy it was to talk to the other schools. When we get together for conference meetings, our scheduling is done in like 3 minutes. You know, what can we do better? What do we like about the previous year? Very proactive. You know, people say, oh, somebody's set in their ways and all this. No, if it's not broke, you don't fix it. But if there's things that can be done 10 years out, you go ahead and try to make those changes now. Excuse me. I'm like you. There's got to be a level of consistency or there's chaos.
You can't that's the problem with the way this stuff is laid out. Like, for example, Owen is always going to be a stepchild in Buncombe because it's not part of those Asheville schools.
And it's on the McDowell. It's right there.
It's
at
right
the
there above
board,
McDowell.
Yeah.
Right
and I got to tell you, you know, the relationships I had with guys like, you know, Kenny Ford, who's the football coach at Owen, you know, crazy, great guy, great coach. Crazy, just a lot of fun. And then Anthony Lee, who was the offensive coordinator and baseball coach there, that had such a great, you know, career there. And J.D. Henson comes out of there. You know, we're talking about a lot of really good consistency. And therefore, it was like the kids were much more likely to have successful experiences. Where when I went to Buncombe County, it was crazy. They had conference rules like, in baseball, like, well, if nobody can take batting practice for a game because the other team has to travel, it's not fair if you get to hit in your cage and they don't. I mean, I was like, what are you talking about? I said, whose rule is that? They said, well, that's kind of what we've always – I said, look, dude, my guys are hitting because we're baseball guys. If you can't get your kids out in time to come hit or whatever, well, that's not fair. I don't care. That is your problem. I'm taking care of my team, okay? And that is not so – like when I'm traveling, you can hit at your place. What are we talking about? That's a matter of getting kids prepared and mentally, you know, ready to meet the challenges of a very, very tough skill, which is to hit a baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not fair. You can't – I was like, okay, whatever. Me and Tommy Smith, the coach at Robertson, you know, who coached up there, you know, 30 years, we had this conversation many times. Tommy said, Tommy, what you do is what you do, bro. You know, what I'm doing, my guys, I don't need all you guys worrying about this. No, I said, look, you know, but I'm an apple cart upsetter anyway. If I don't see something that's right or something that makes any sense,
but the thing of it is, you got to put everybody on the same playing field, and that's what we don't want to do.
No,
and you don't make rules like that go completely against what's always been acceptable and designed inside the game. I mean, you know
Mike Mahaffey, when he coached at Bessemer City, we played them the first year I was at Maiden. That rascal was out on my baseball field, showed up at like 1:15, and they were out there hitting, and that's where they had a JV team. They hit like 27 kids, and they finally finished batting practice the time we got out of school. Do you think I went out there and said, hey, man, that's not fair? I walked there and said, hey, is there anything else I can get for you?
That's right.
Opened up the locker rooms for them for the restrooms,
That's the way it should be.
Well, I mean, yeah, you would think.
Yeah. Stephen Lowe, good morning. Richie said he saw where Tampa's coordinators have been contacted.
Yeah.
And Milton said Dan Quinn will get several offers. I'm trying to figure out why Dan Quinn gets several offers. I'm trying to figure out why. Richie says, does Jacksonville want Bill O'Brien? Why? Give me something more than they've been there.
No, I think the thing with Dan Quinn is, and it always rests at the top. You and I are accountable people. Mm-hmm. You know, no matter what happens underneath me, it's always my fault if it doesn't work out. I really believe that Matt Ryan and the offensive coordinator, who was the head coach at San Francisco now, Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
I really believe that Super Bowl loss was on them, because when they could have run the football, they threw it unnecessarily and stopped the clock and gave you basically 30 extra seconds, which is all that New England needed to tie the game. Okay. And again, you can pick out one play, all of us can, but going back and reviewing that, and yes, Dan Quinn is accountable for that, but at the same time, you know, he understands football and he understands defense, and I think he now has learned from that, and I'm kind of like a lot of people. I think he's going to get another shot at it. And I will tell you that defensive coordinator at Tampa Bay, Bowles.
Mm-hmm. Todd Bowles.
I tell you,
he's
man,
in a bad situation. He's with the flipping Jets.
I got to tell you, man, he's the guy's pretty good. And I'm just reading up on and finding some things out about Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be something there as well.
Leslie Frazier's another one name.
I think he would do a good job. He's a good guy.
Kicked around.
Yeah.
The one thing, Cowherd did a stat of the number of teams that are in the playoffs, and it was like 9 of the teams, their head coaches from the offensive side of the ball, because the rule changes have been so much.
Yeah.
It's hard for a defensive-minded coach to be a head coach unless he understands where he's at and gets that top-notch OC
100%
to come in and run.
But see, that's why I think Bill O'Brien is so valuable. Maybe like you were talking about, not from a head coaching standpoint, but being able to construct, you know, offensively, you know, the things that need to be done.
My problem with Bill O'Brien is I don't think he's a pro coach.
Right.
He's a college coach, and he's a little bit like Harbaugh, except Harbaugh can win. There are things that he does inside his personality that rub pro players the wrong way, and it's hard to make it.
Yeah, he's not afraid to have a conversation.
Yeah,
and guys that he's got the ego like the guys he's dealing with, and that's sometimes oil and oil.
That you can't do that.
And oil and water.
Yeah, you know, and then the Dolphins, Brian Flores. What he did at Miami, that had to be the biggest surprise of any firing.
I think the biggest thing was there, just looking back on it, was just there was just really no consistency. And the way that, yes, you know, you draft Tua, you want him to go win, but Fitzmagic, you know, wasn't playing too bad and had the respect of the locker room. And, you know, they were building on something. People say, oh, Fitzpatrick, this, that. And listen, he's not going to run around. He's not going to do this. But what's he going to do? He's going to distribute the football and get it to people.
And pretty much protect the football.
Right, because of his experience, right? He's been through – he's time-tested, proven, and true. But yet you just turn around all of a sudden because you draft somebody and say, we have to play him. Maybe when they're ready. You know, we always want things in our time. And we talk about doing it in God's time, right? Mm-hmm. Well, everybody has their time. And sometimes it takes a little longer to learn things. Sometimes it's a little quicker. Everybody's different. Well, and we're throwing everybody in that box. And it's
well,
just,
the thing of it is sometimes when you have to be careful who you hitch your wagon to, I guess is the best thing.
Right.
You're going to find out within maybe next season, 2 years at the most, if the right horse to hook your wagon to was Tua, or did you sell the wrong horse with Brian Flores?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's where it's going to come about, because my understanding, everything I've read since this happened, he and Tua had a major blow up just before he was fired. But yet when management talked about the next coach would name – I mean, the next coach would name the starting quarterback, that didn't sound like a resounding vote of confidence for Tua.
It's not.
So why did you go that route?
It may have been, and of course that's a great question. We never know what happens behind the scenes. We never know. We assume that Flores handled everything professionally. There's no reason for us to not think that he did, but there may be other things that led to that. Lanny, there's so much pressure on coaches to play these high draft picks when they're not ready. And that's something that you see Vrabel will not do, and Belichick won't do. Tomlin doesn't do it. Of course, they haven't had a high pick in forever. But, they don't do these things until the players are ready. They had to play Ben, remember?
Right.
Now, did that work out? Yes, but what did he have around him? He had an offensive line with Faneca and those guys. It was amazing. All right. He had Jerome Bettis and a couple of other backs, serviceable backs, and then he had steady wideouts with Hines Ward and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All he had to do was be a distributor of the football. It'd just be 6', whatever he is, 6'5", whatever he is, and smile and just keep the machine going.
Mm-hmm.
And then he learns from that, and then he becomes the guy.
Yeah.
Think about that.
We've got some comments on some of these coaching things coming in. I'm going to take a break. We come back. We'll kind of get into them. I'll tell you some of the ones that I think, and we'll get Ford's opinion as well.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Welcome back. Ford's calling for snow in the next 15 minutes right here in Maiden.
And the bright sunshine.
And then bright sunshine follows.
No,
that?
it says it's sunny now.
Oh, it is. It's beautifully sunny.
And
Those are dark
Snowmageddon.
windows.
Snowmageddon.
Those
It's
are
coming.
dark windows.
Snowmageddon. It's coming.
Dark windows, just in case you were wondering. Let me get a couple of these comments that came in. This is a good one. Mark said, not entirely related to what we're talking about. Why does the NFL keep recycling coaches who are good coordinators but not good head coaches? It's like they think they'll be different this time when you give him another head coaching job. Yeah. Never mind the past 4 years, past 4 failures.
Right.
The only thing that I would add to that, I told Ford when we were on the break, you got to look at how dysfunctional was the franchise that you went into. I mean, you go into Detroit or – sorry. You go into Detroit or Jacksonville, averaging almost 12 games, losing a season for the last 11 years. It's hard. It's hard to do that. I was not surprised, Richie, that Vic got fired in Denver. I thought it was time.
Yeah.
Richie also said like to see Leftwich or Bieniemy get a chance to be a head coach.
Yeah.
Milton said Quinn may end up keeping the head coach or getting the head coach at Dallas if they lose this weekend.
That's a possibility.
Adam says Quinn needs to stay right where he is. You're such a –
He's a homer.
Come on, homie.
Yeah, he's really? A Dallas homer.
Saw an article. Rich said an
awesome.
article headline that the Steelers should do what it takes to get Matt Ryan.
I would like to talk to the person that wrote that article and invite them over to dinner at my house, and you'll probably never see him again. Oh, my gosh.
It's not Tommy.
Oh.
It's not Tommy.
Oh.
Richie said to add to that, I also wonder about the experience factor. I've been in several interviews where they want someone with experience. My response was, if you want someone with experience, how am I going to get that experience? That's an old thing, trying to get what you want in business. You got to get that first shot. Now, it's like a lot of other things. You only get one chance to make a first impression. So when you get that shot, you got to make all of that. There are some coaches that I would like to see get opportunities. Of course, I'm not a Jacksonville fan, but I am a Trevor Lawrence fan. So I'm okay with Doug Peterson. Jim Caldwell's name's getting tossed around. Was never a Jim Caldwell fan. He's a stabilizer, but he's not going to build and take you where you want to go, in my opinion. No. I'm not a Bill O'Brien fan because he already screwed up one Clemson quarterback at Houston. I don't want him to go to Jacksonville and do it again. Some of the candidates that I like, Byron Leftwich, I like Kellen Moore from the Cowboys, I like Doug Peterson. I don't want them to bring a defensive-minded coach in.
Yeah, so when you look at a head coach, when you look at them, a few things come to mind. Number one, did they command the respect of others when they walk in the room? some of those names that you threw out there, you don't really feel that.
The only one would be Doug Peterson, but the others I don't know.
And again, I think there's a couple good points about people deserve an opportunity. I'm a Zimmer fan. I like him.
So what happened in Minnesota?
It's Minnesota.
Minnesota should be better than that.
It's the process is messed up from the top down there, and I think you can really only hold someone accountable when they have stake in the game, and saying, well, it's up to them to win. I'm sorry, Lanny, but if we go out and we draft a rec team and you end up with kids that are first year or have bad attitudes that have never played before, and they hand you the team and they say, here, go coach them and win.
I had one of those.
Okay. I mean, not saying that you can't organize it, make it better, but are you going to beat that team that's had kids playing for 4 years together? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? I mean, there's just –
I got a T-ball team one time because there were too many kids on the teams, and they said we need to form another one. So
team,
everybody gave me the kids that they didn't want.
Yeah, I've done that in the past. Yeah. I've volunteered, to help because it's – and again, the youth league thing may have been a bad example, but the point is – that's almost what it feels like with some of these organizations, with the owner and GM, and then all of a sudden they hand the coach the team and say, here you go, do this. I don't know, man. It's like if you want me to, prepare the food, you need to let me buy the groceries.
That's right. Okay. Oh, I agree.
Let
me ask you this one. How about the Raiders? Rick Bisaccia took over for Gruden. He went 7-5. Got the Raiders to the postseason. Does he need to say? Do the Raiders need to say, "Look, we want you to stay"?
They can, but the guy they ought to get's Harbaugh.
What does that do to your franchise?
No, it's. I don't think it does anything.
Okay.
I mean, even though they're in Las Vegas now, they're still a West Coast team. He's got a West Coast presence. The ability to rally around him out there was tremendous when he was, at Stanford and then again at San Francisco. So, I'm not saying they shouldn't give that guy an opportunity. I'm saying that's probably who they're going to go get.
If he is not retained,
yeah,
when Raiders are out of the playoffs, they're not going deep.
They can't. But I mean, I'd love to see it.
Does he get some looks because he was able to take the dysfunction that was there?
I didn't think there was any dysfunction. I just think there was an issue with Gruden.
Okay.
I don't think there was actual dysfunction. I think that was more created by Gruden's actions, and brought to light.
But I had not been impressed. I had not been impressed with what Gruden had accomplished.
Derek Carr's pretty good. And that was the whole point.
Yeah.
And
but there was at one time Gruden didn't even want him.
I'm not so sure that was the case.
Okay.
I'm sure what I'm thinking is that he was challenging Carr to either pick it up or he was going to go shopping. And when you put pressure on people, you see how they react. And I think Gruden had been doing it long enough, and he's that kind of pressure, oriented guy, where because he brought in Glennon and all these other guys, to try to challenge for it, right? And make Carr better. And I think he saw things in Carr that were very similar to his brother, the attributes that it takes to be a winner, and he was doing anything that he could do to bring those to fruition. And the quickest way you do that to somebody is you make them feel threatened that they might lose something that's important to them. When they're not, when they're not holding themselves accountable or being the very best they can be. And I think you saw that with Carr. I mean, Gruden's gotten a lot of, a lot of criticism about things that really have nothing to do with, the actual, ins and outs of football. It was more about, his feelings about certain people and things like that. Not saying it's right, wrong, or different, because it is. I haven't seen any of the emails. I don't know anything about it. Whatever. Okay, but to think that he's the only person that has done that, it may be a little short-sighted. Okay, and what he did, what he's accused of, what he did. Nobody condones that kind of behavior. But at the same time, there's probably a lot more to this than what we're hearing about.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm not defending him.
And you're never
I'm
gonna
talking
know. And you're
about
never gonna know.
the situation in general.
That's the other thing. You're never gonna
this
know.
isn't defending Gruden. I'm just saying as far as him taking a team, with the Raiders and trying, he got rid of, who was it, Khalil Mack and some of the other guys. He wanted his team in there. And AB, he put up with that for about 30 seconds, okay, and got rid of that as well. Welcomed him. AB didn't want to do it, burn his feet, doing something stupid, like froze his feet or whatever it was, and the cryogenic therapy or whatever it was. Gruden said, you know what? Get out of here.
One final question. This was a ruling that happened this week. The Broncos, okay, the previous owner of the Broncos do not have the right of first refusal if the team is sold. There was an issue that when they sold, the original owner sold to Pat Bowlen in 1984, that there was a right of first refusal. This ruling removed a major obstacle from the Bowlen family's effort to sell the team, and it means that the Broncos could have a new ownership group by the calendar year. Now, they need a head coach. My question to you is, do you see who do you see trying to make a run? You're probably talking $2 billion for the Broncos, maybe $3 billion.
Yeah, more.
What do you see? Because they're going to want to get out from under it. But who would be
private equity group?
But would it be headlined by a Peyton Manning, for example? He's expressed some
ownership,
some interest in ownership.
Yeah. It could be, and they could get individual investors, with like I said, with private equity groups or just other areas of interest, that may own pieces, kind of like Tepper owns a piece of the Steelers and or did whatever, still does whatever, But it will be interesting how business goes forward, because when you get into the billions and billions,
yes.
These high, and Denver is a good market. I mean, it's the only thing around. The marketability is very high. They take football very seriously. Got great fans, great history, great tradition. You get a guy like Peyton that headlines the thing. It's
Brandon says coaching at any level is a brotherhood and sense of security. You have to break in at each level, and then connections play too much into decisions and bias for a comfortable conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
That's right.
Richie, Tomlin is there till Tomlin doesn't want to be there.
That.
You may not like that, but that's the way it is. Mark said, Derek Carr's eyes make him look like you think he's looking at the devil. Milton says Vikings ownership is a train wreck, and that shows. Milton also said Gruden insulted the commissioner, and the commissioner struck back.
Yes, and I think that's more to come with that.
And Mark says Ford has a spare cash drawer in his kitchen that would go a long way towards purchasing the Broncos.
Okay, full disclosure, that is Mandy's kitchen. and if there's a cash drawer, if there's a cash drawer in the kitchen, I'm not aware, and there's nothing like that in our house. So.
We're out of here. Cold weather's still here.
Crazy.
Join me and the professor in the morning, as far as I know. We'll be back. I don't have any more procedures, even though my doctor said I may have been the best she ever had. Have a great day.